Hello and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy the story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Drowning Whispers of Lake Wraith. Part 1. The Expedition. The remote, deep Lake Wraith had long been a place of mystery and whispers. Nestled deep within the dense, forbidding forests of the Pacific Northwest, it was rumored to hide secrets that defied the imagination. Among the local townsfolk, tales of eerie lights beneath the water's surface and strange occurrences in the nearby woods were common, but the most chilling legend of all was that of the underwater city said to lie dormant beneath its Inkai depths. Dr. Amelia Hartwell, a renowned marine archaeologist, had heard these stories since childhood. Lake Wraith had long been a fascination for her, and she had spent years researching the local folklore. She believed there might be some truth to the tales, and she had finally assembled a team for a daring scuba diving expedition to uncover the secrets of the lake. Amelia's team consisted of her best friend and marine biologist, Dr. David Langley, her gifted geologist sister, Sarah Hartwell, and an experienced underwater cameraman named Paul Turner. They arrived in the nearby town of Ravenwood, where they were met with skepticism and warnings from the locals who feared the lake's dark reputation. Despite the ominous warnings, the team was undeterred. They had invested years of their lives and substantial funding in this expedition, and they were determined to uncover the truth. With their specialized diving gear and high-tech underwater equipment, they set out on a misty morning to explore the enigmatic depths of Lake Wraith. Part 2. The Descent. As the team descended into the lake's shadowy abyss, the water became eerily cold and the visibility diminished rapidly. The lake's reputation for darkness was well earned, and it felt as though the water itself conspired to keep its secrets hidden. The divers moved cautiously through the murky water, their powerful underwater flashlights cutting through the Inkai blackness. Amelia and David were in awe of the haunting beauty of the underwater world, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were trespassing on ancient, sacred ground. After what seemed like hours, they made a startling discovery. Beneath them, amidst the tangled branches and submerged stones, the ruins of a city began to materialize. Buildings of strange, otherworldly architecture lay in ruins, their spires and towers reaching out like skeletal fingers. The team marveled at the sight but couldn't help but notice the unnerving silence that hung over the submerged city. It was when they ventured inside one of the dilapidated structures that they first heard the haunting sound of whispers, like the voices of 1,000 ghosts. The sound seemed to emanate from the very walls, seeping into their bones and chilling them to the core. Part 3. Malevolent Spirits Awaken. As the team explored deeper into the underwater city, the whispers grew louder and more insistent. Amelia, captivated by the find, brushed off her sister's unease, convinced that they were on the brink of a groundbreaking discovery. But the deeper they went, the more intense the whispers became, and they started to understand the strange, ancient language they spoke. Amelia and her team had unwittingly awakened the malevolent spirits that resided within the submerged city. The spirits, trapped for centuries in the watery grave of Lake Wraith, were now free to exact their vengeance upon any intruders. They manifested as dark, shadowy figures that moved silently through the water, their glowing eyes fixated on the intruders. Panic set in as the team realized they were no longer alone in the depths of the lake. The spirits, with their bony, webbed hands, began to grab at the divers, pulling them deeper into the ruins. David, Sarah, and Paul fought desperately to break free, but the spirits' grasp was unrelenting. Amelia, the last to be captured, was dragged to the heart of the submerged city, where a massive, ornate temple rose from the lake bed. Within its crumbling walls, she found herself surrounded by a swirling maelstrom of dark, icy water. The malevolent spirits circled her, their whispers now deafening in their intensity. Part 4. The Dark Ritual. Amelia realized that the whispers were not mere voices, but incantations in an ancient, forgotten language. The spirits were preparing for a dark ritual, and she was the unwitting sacrifice. Bound by an unseen force, she watched in horror as they chanted and invoked a malevolent presence from the depths of the lake. As the ritual reached its climax, the waters of Lake Wraith began to churn violently. A monstrous, shadowy figure, a creature of untold horror, emerged from the depths. Its eyes glowed with an unholy light, and it let out a bone-chilling roar that reverberated through the submerged city. The spirits released Amelia, and she was free to watch in terror as the malevolent entity turned its malevolent gaze upon her team. David, Sarah, and Paul were powerless to escape the clutches of the vengeful spirits and were slowly drawn into the creature's gaping maw. Amelia knew that she had unwittingly unleashed a force that could not be contained. The ancient spirits, once dormant, had been awakened with a thirst for revenge that could never be quenched. The lake itself seemed to seethe with anger, and the whispers of the past had now become the tormented screams of the present. As the malevolent entity and its spectral minions descended back into the depths of Lake Wraith, dragging the remains of her team with them, Amelia could only watch in helpless despair. She had uncovered the long-forgotten underwater city, but the price of her discovery had been the release of unspeakable horror. The lake would forever be cursed by the drowning whispers of its malevolent inhabitants, and anyone who dared to venture into its depths would risk the same gruesome fate. Lake Wraith had claimed its victims, and its secrets would remain buried in the watery abyss for eternity. Part 5. The Haunting Legacy. Amelia, alone and traumatized, managed to swim back to the surface. Gasping for air, she reached the boat that had brought them to the lake. She was a survivor, but she was forever scarred by the horrors she had witnessed in the depths of Lake Wraith. Returning to the town of Ravenwood, Amelia tried to warn the locals about the malevolent spirits lurking beneath the water, but her story was met with skepticism and disbelief. The legends and warnings about the lake were considered mere superstition, and the townsfolk were unwilling to accept the truth. Haunted by the loss of her beloved sister, David, and Paul, Amelia devoted her life to researching the history of the submerged city and the malevolent spirits. She learned that the city was once a powerful, dark civilization that had been cursed by its own wickedness. The spirits trapped within the lake were the souls of its corrupt and malevolent rulers, seeking retribution for the sins of their past. Amelia's obsession with the lake and its secrets took a toll on her sanity. She became a recluse, spending her days poring over ancient texts and maps, searching for a way to appease the vengeful spirits and put an end to the malevolence that had been unleashed. She believed that only by understanding the rituals and history of the underwater city could she find a way to break the curse. Years passed, and Amelia's health deteriorated as she delved deeper into the occult and the dark arts. She found references to a mystical artifact, the Tear of Lake Wraith, that was said to hold the power to calm the spirits and bind them once again to the underwater city. With renewed determination, Amelia set out to find the artifact, hoping it would be the key to ending the curse. Part 6. The Final Confrontation. Amelia's quest for the Tear of Lake Wraith led her on a perilous journey that took her to distant lands and through treacherous terrain. She faced ancient traps and encountered bizarre cults that worshipped the malevolent spirits of the lake. It became clear that the spirits would stop at nothing to prevent her from obtaining the artifact. Finally, after years of searching, Amelia found herself standing at the edge of Lake Wraith once again. She held the Tear of Lake Wraith in her trembling hands, a small, glowing gem that pulsed with an eerie light. She knew that using the artifact was a perilous undertaking, and it might require the ultimate sacrifice. Amelia returned to the submerged city, the same place where her team had met their gruesome fate. She descended into the watery abyss and, with the tear in hand, performed a desperate and dangerous ritual. The spirits, enraged by her presence, swarmed around her, their whispers growing louder and more menacing. With the ritual's completion, the Tear of Lake Wraith emitted a blinding light, and a powerful force surged through the water. The malevolent spirits shrieked and writhed in agony as they were drawn back into the depths of the lake. The curse that had plagued the underwater city for centuries was finally broken, and the once dark civilization lay dormant once more. As the last of the spirits vanished beneath the inky depths, Lake Wraith returned to an eerie stillness. The whispers that had tormented Amelia were silenced, and the lake no longer held the malevolence that had plagued it for so long. Amelia had succeeded in putting the malevolent spirits to rest, but it had come at a great cost. She had lost her team, her sister, and a part of her own soul in the process. The lake's secrets were now buried once again, and the only evidence of the horrors that had transpired lay in the haunted eyes of the lone survivor. Amelia returned to Ravenwood a changed woman. She was no longer a seeker of knowledge, but a keeper of a terrible secret. The legend of the underwater city and the malevolent spirits of Lake Wraith lived on, but only she knew the true extent of the horrors that lay hidden beneath the water's surface. The lake would forever bear the scars of its haunting past, a dark and foreboding place where the whispers of the damned had been silenced, but the legacy of their malevolence would endure for generations to come. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.